Our film begins with Bear seeing a psychiatrist and telling him his story. He was born with a strange talent, which is that anyone who sees his face dies. He tells him that the matter started from the moment he was born. When the doctor and assistants first saw him, they said that he was the most beautiful child in the world. Moments later, they had a heart attack and died. The only ones who were able to see him not die were his father and mother, who had to move to an isolated city to reduce the incidence of deaths occurring because of him. Since then, they have been wrapping their faces in gauze. He always wore sunshine to avoid his beauty, which killed people. But the doctor doesn't believe him and tells him that this could be a story because of his depression. Suddenly, Max's family hears a strong voice on the ground. They entered and found that Max had taken off his surgical mask, and the doctor had a heart attack and died in front of him. And they inform the police. There is no danger to Max if he is arrested. They arrive at a house, and Dan, Max's friend, is there for lunch. Max's father, John, suggests that he register on dating apps so that he can start getting out of the house he has always locked himself in. Max goes to his room and asks Dan to hit him in the face with a stone, hoping that he will disfigure him and that no one will die who will look at him. He actually hits him and goes to the hospital and finds that everyone there is looking at him in surprise because of the gauze and the freshness. He meets Alex and borrows her magazine from her and puts it in front of his face to prevent people from looking at him, until it's his turn to reveal. He finishes the hospital and returns home, and Dan comes to him and tells him that on Valentine's Day he had a chance to go out with a girl, and that he would go out with her in good health, and that he would meet Erica and have a strange date, and that he would give her a gift of a handkerchief with her name stitched on it. They try to start any conversation with him until he finds someone named Creek coming to attack him and his face, making Max leave. He decides to commit suicide from the bridge. Before he gets up, Alex comes to him and tells him that if he intends to commit suicide, he must go to a higher bridge so that he can die quickly. And she leaves it and walks. He tells her that she should tell him something to prevent him from committing suicide, but she is confident that he will not commit suicide and says that he will die old in bed and will not die today, and she offers him to come with her on her trip, and she takes him and he goes to the nursing home. And they spend the day with Esther and her friend Rosemary, and then she takes Alex to his house to make sure that he does not go to the bridge again, and he asks her to meet her again tomorrow. But she is sorry that she won't be able to, and Alex understands that she doesn't want to see him, so he bids her farewell and enters the house and tells Dan about her, and that he wished to see her again. Dannon tells him that he is going to the bus station where he took it together, and he may meet it again by chance. The next day comes and he continues to sit at the bus stop and finds her. She comes and asks him if he is chasing her, and he tells her that he would like to see her and go out with her again if she doesn't mind, and she agrees, and they go to the mall and buy a large amount of candy and fill the bathtub and sit in it. And Alex tells her that he was born with a deathly beautiful face, and she says that she knows that he is famous. Very much in the city and in uniform in the hospital. They meet her, and that she was in the hospital, because she has a rare heart disease, and that she is wearing a heart monitor, and her condition is currently stable. Oh, they take her to go to the cinema together and exchange the water she has for vodka. They say that she used to dream that she was drinking with her boyfriend in the cinema. Oh, but she has never done that, because she has no friends, and they go to the cinema. Max cannot go alone. You go with him and see all the things he sewed and hung in his room. She asks him to make one for her. He asks her about the light bulb in the jacket she is wearing, and she says it is a danger light. It would be better if her heart was larger than normal. Or she felt feelings that he was hurting her, and then he found his family walking in on him, and they were surprised that Max had another friend. His daughter is also in the room with him, and they introduce him to a girl named Yushin, who will live with them in the house. She followed the student exchange program until she finished her studies. The next day they go camping in the forest. He takes him with him and takes him to the forest. Night comes, and Alex tells him that she wishes to see his face. He asks her to close her eyes and removes the screen from her face and ties it over her eyes. He makes her touch his face and try to imagine how he looks. They return on the second day of their trip, and he calls to go out, and she tells him that she is helping her mother at home and cannot go out, but in her life she stays in the hospital because of a problem with her heart, and she hides it from him. Jim asks McSudan to remove the old Christmas tree in front of the house, but Yashin accidentally throws a cigarette at her, and she swallows it. He tries to do this because he keeps her away from the house, but his hand stings and he takes a knife and goes to the hospital and finds that Alex is there and treats him in a bad way in front of her mother. She tells her that they work in the nursing home and that they are her colleagues and nothing more. He meets her the next day and asks her how she behaved with him. She tells him that her mother does not know that she has friends at all. Otherwise, she will be afraid and terrified for her even more, and that her mother agrees to her volunteering at the wellness home for the elderly. They go to visit Esther, and Rosemary is very tired. They go out to check on her and find her living on the devices, making Alex sad. She comes out of her room, and Max goes after her. They say that she is more isolated and that the house is forced to try to save her, even if she is single from the devices. She asks him to relieve her of her fatigue and that he shows her his face, so that she will die and be relieved of the single life she is in. He tells her that he does not know who is dying and whether they will see his face, whether they will be singly or not, but he agrees that he will comfort Rosemary. He enters her room, holds her hands, takes off the gauze on his face, and she looks at him at Rosemary, laughs at him, and dies while smiling. A period of time passes, and Alex disappears from Max's life. He tries to call her, but she does not respond to him until he decides to go to her home, and they say that the doctors decided to increase the dosage of her medications because of her condition deteriorated, and the danger light was always on due to the increase in the size of her heart beyond the normal rate, and Max protected himself. He caused her condition to deteriorate because she started going out with him and moving with him, and he treated her negatively and made her work harder than usual, and he asked her if there was something he could help her with, and she said he told him that he could take her to the dance at Dan's school. They go to the party together and decide that they will wear something different from the rest. Max dances with Alex until she feels that she's a little tired and calms her down and tells him that she will come back to him again. Dan is with Craig's old girlfriend and is arguing with them. Goodbye. Craig takes off Max's mask in front of all Dan's friend, and she sees him, and she falls to the ground and dies. The police come and arrest Max and see the ambulance taking Alex to the hospital. He spends a day in detention and leaves the department and goes to check on Alex while she is in the hospital. He sees the medications she has in her bag, and she takes them, but he finds that they are medications, acidity, and he understands that she is lying to him and that she does not want to take her medication at all because she wants to die, and she tells him that she has been telling him that since she was young she has been living on unnecessary medications. She's not living her life, and everything she does, dope, is postponing her death. But only a slight postponement. She is always locked in her house. I don't go to school or university. She is forbidden from loving or showing any strong feelings, and they say that she has thought a lot about how to ask him for what she wants, and he makes him understand that she wants to see what he looks like, and he refuses her request and tells her that she does not know how he feels, but he sees someone in front of him dying because of him, and he leaves her and returns home crying and trying to distort his face in any way. They prevent his family from dressing himself, so he takes off the screen on his face and keeps crying and sees Yoshin's cat's face without a screen, so he dies too. Max goes to school and meets Dan, who scolds him and asks him why he is avoiding Alex. What he is doing is wrong, and it is not useful for him to be away from her while she needs him. If she dies, sir, he will regret not having the opportunity to say goodbye to her, and he will take her to the hospital and comment on the wall of her room all the sewing that he did, and in my hand for her, what he made for her specifically, and he will feel sorry for her, that he is far from her, and that he does not know how to say goodbye to her, nor does he want to. She dies and leaves him, but he is ready to fulfill her request. He tells her to close her eyes, removes the gauze on her face, and sleeps next to her on the bed. She opens her eyes and sees Max for the first time. But she does not die, but she sees his appearance and gets tired, but only temporarily, and he calls for doctors to attend to her. Max continues to sleep next to her and takes care of her until he realizes that Alex is dead and the charge of killing his girlfriend is dropped, and that the forensic medicine says that she died a natural death, and after that his case made all the news and newspapers. Some people did not believe that a beautiful child could be a murderer, and other people would have died if he had been able to help them and been able to find a way to help them. The people he needs, and this way is to end their torment in a painless way. The most important lesson he learned from Alex is that his appearance is not a killer for all people, and the people who love him without a reason cannot kill them because his face and heart are much more beautiful. This is the reason he did not kill Alex, because she loved him. Crick comes to apologize for what he did, but Max forgets to wear the mask and goes to open the door, and the first thing he sees is Creek dying.